stack up very favorably against them, although this is the lower bracket that M5 is struggling in, so anything could really happen. And if it's one team that might be able to surprise M5, it could be Meat Playground, because I doubt they really know a lot about them.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap there, and we've seen M5 take some losses. Though, to be fair, let's talk about who they lost to. It's Azubu Blaze, Taipei Assassins. It's definitely a top tier team. So there's no harm there, and I think they were a little bit surprised themselves from some of the strength of some of these teams. So. I don't know. We'll see what can happen here. Who's going to come out on top. I think that Meat Playground. Did you actually see the games earlier with Fear?
I did see the games earlier. They were actually playing Vladimir in the mid lane at one point. They were also playing. They just had interesting stuff. Like Xhazard got his fan favorite Malphite in the top lane in game number 1. They just ran these compositions that kind of what they called counteracted the fact that there was a composition from the side of Team Fear that they really wanted to run, and they kind of hit this niche in between where they're like, well, we're going to be able to shut this down. Fear was running this kind of, not really assassin heavy, but they wanted to jump in, isolate a target very quick in a team fight, take them out of the fight, and that was about that. What Meat Playground did was they ran tankier champions like Ryze, like Vladimir. They had a Lulu ultimate. They had the Malphite ultimate to interrupt all of that. And unfortunately for Team Fear, by the time they got their team fight all together, it just fell apart because they were in no position to dominate, and Meat Playground was just far too tanky.
Well, and I think one of the keys for Meat Playground is how strong Light Sludge looked earlier on. And he's been potentially one of the top NAs for a while, but hasn't really had the biggest chance to show it. NK Inc. can be really aggressive in the jungle as well, but you look at the game against Fear in particular, and Light Sludge was playing Caitlyn in those games, and he was constantly dealing damage. Like, even if Caitlyn doesn't have any sort of steroid ability and doesn't scale into the late game as significantly as other champions, he was constantly dealing damage. You compare that with Aphromoo on the other side, and there were some fights that were engaged when he's not in position, so he's not dealing any damage, and then when the fight actually happens, all of a sudden he's either jumps into the middle of the team himself, or he's being overwhelmed by the rest of Meat Playground. And so that was kind of an AD battle that they had won. But as a team, I think a big part of Meat Playground is for them to get Pobelter in a good situation, because I think the rest of the team tends to be pretty safe. But Pobelter, he's a very aggressive mid player. I think a lot of people have a lot of respect for him as a mid. Like, I've been talking with everyone today, and they refer to him as the prodigy. Ajat was saying he's going to be the first pick of the 2015 LoL draft. But Pobelter,
when he gets to be able to play in Season 3.
But Pobelter, he's super aggressive, and a lot of times he'll die early on. So he's a huge boomer bust player. And even against Fear, he actually got caught out of position a lot of times as Ryze, and then it would just work out okay, partially because of the rest of his team being able to win their situations.
And what we do have in the picks and bans is, looks like Meat Playground did a little bit of their own research, banning out Evelynn, Rengar, and Shen. Haven't really seen a lot of Shen from the side of Moscow 5 recently, but of course, Evelynn
Darien,
and Rengar.
All times, Darien's been incredible for Shen. And you're right, they have been playing newer champions recently, but a big part of that whole Yi game that everyone got excited about was the fact that Darien was uber tanky on Shen.
That indeed. We also have Ezreal Amumu being picked up, as well as Nunu. So Meat Playground snipes away Nunu, not wanting M5 to have that. Of course, they were the ones that kind of brought Nunu support into the bottom lane in the first place. Of course, we all know about the Empire. We know about the Kog'Maw Nunu bottom lane. And taking that one away, Ezreal and Amumu, of course, being picked up. What I'm really interested to see is, Riot did, of course, their spotlights on the players. And Alex each picked Ryze as his favorite champion. Well, that's Pobelter's favorite champion, if I recall correctly. He was playing it earlier today.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Alex each play Ryze for a long time as well.
For the longest time, I thought that Morgana was Pobelter's best champion, and you're right. He's very strong in both Morgana and Ryze. He's been kind of, jumping around in a lot of champions recently. He's been trying to see what works. We've seen him play a lot of Anivia. He played some Anivia earlier this tournament, some Orianna and whatnot. But one of the issues with those champions is if he gets himself caught out of position in fights, they have no way of retaliating. Ryze, on the other hand, he was caught out a couple of times, but he's tanky enough, it doesn't matter. Morgana, if you're caught out as Morgana, that's fine, because you're expecting to be in the middle of the team. So I really like the way that those actually fit his playstyle, and it's going to be interesting to see. Malphite, okay, so you talked about earlier.
That's definitely Xhazard right there.
Malphite's, his signature. NK Inc., his best champion is Nunu. And, you know, he's been playing a lot of Lee Sin this tournament, but Lee Sin being banned, otherwise that would clearly be a first pick not to allow Diamondprox to have it. But Nunu, you know, is definitely his strongest jungler, and we've seen some really aggressive play from him in the past with it.
Well, the interesting thing was, too, that M5 second banned out Lee Sin, so they kind of got a ban on themselves there, but you did mention that they didn't want Meat Playground to get it either.
They would have definitely first picked that if it hadn't been banned, but yeah.
Yeah, so if, you know, there's a Nunu here in the... could be a support Nunu, it could still be technically a jungle Nunu, and Diamondprox, on the other hand, picking up
I don't know that I've ever seen Lemon God play support Nunu, though, and
I don't know either.
You're right, there is that flexibility, though, right now.
It would go perfect with the Caitlyn, though, because that attack speed steroid means she could go pure damaging and then get a lot of extra damage on her headshot.
I was actually talking with Loco, and he said that, well, one, he was using it as a negative, that Doublelift's thick-headed, but he was saying that Doublelift doesn't think that Caitlyn can be played without a Nunu support.
Really?
You know, here in this situation, even with the Nunu in the jungle, if that's where they go, you know, it could be that support again. Then they're still gonna have the Blood Boil later on, but because she doesn't have any innate steroid, so it is going to be Nunu support. Don't I, you know, look like an ass now? But there's the Morgana as well, and I definitely think that Morgana is Pobelter's strongest champion. You know, he's very capable mechanically of picking up those early kills early on, hitting those binds, but it's definitely, I don't know, he can get somewhat out of position later on in team fights, and it'll be okay.
And still really interested to see what they're going to pick up on M5 side for Alex Each. Looking at what's on the table, they took out Evelynn. Diana, of course, is not available. Katarina's still on the table, and I've seen Alex Each play a little bit of Katarina before. And,
oh, wow. I honestly, I thought that Alex Each would always pick Katarina in front of Yi, and I was talking with someone about this yesterday. You know, he likes those champions that have really great sustain damage, but also once they get a reset on their cooldowns, you know, can take over fights. And Evelynn and Katarina, I thought were picks before Yi, but oh boy, you know, if he's just picking them outright.
I'm really excited to see this because I didn't get a chance to see the Pentakill Yi last night because I was casting on this stream and it was on the main stage, and I was like, oh, I was so bummed out to hear about it. Hopefully we could see Alex Each doing some really awesome things at Yi. Taking a look at Meat Playground side, there's only 2 champions that could potentially stop it. Well, 3 technically if Caitlyn's going to be using her traps as well. 2 of those are on Cho'Gath, and 1 of those is on Malphite, and 1 of those is their only initiation method. So if Yi's going to come into the fight on cleanup duty, Malphite ultimate, you can kind of cancel that one out there. If X-Hadger's going to save that one, well, then we have an Amumu ultimate. We have a Sona Crescendo coming across from M5. He really needs to use that before the fight gets to that point where Yi's going to come in on cleanup duty.
Yeah, I think that the key thing that you said there is Yi coming in on cleanup duty, because Yi, he can't start off the fight. They have a team, and Diamond, he's liked Amumu all weekend, and we actually saw he went Sork Shoes on Amumu in the past because it gives him that quick burst damage. But if they can't, what really needs to happen, they need to get Darien into the middle of the team and force Meat Playground, you know, into an AoE, and then get Diamondprox into the middle of them in order to set up Alex Each. If Meat Playground, if they kite backwards enough and are able to shut down that front line, not allow, you know, M5 to just get all of Meat Playground in an AoE, then, you know, maybe he won't have the opportunities to come in because he does have to play cleanup. He can't start off the fight himself. And the long range from Caitlyn in particular could allow them to just slowly wear them down, and then Cho is perfect at, you know, those ruptures allow you to kite so easily, and that could completely shut down both Olaf and Amumu if they, you know, want to try and get an engage.
Well, here's the interesting thing here. I thought there was going to be a Malphite in top lane, but they do have the Olaf on the side of M5.
We all thought a lot of things.
Well, we did think a lot of it. I thought it was going to be a Malphite versus Olaf matchup, which of course is a little bit in favor of Olaf, but NK Inc. and X-Hazard swapping it up. They're going to have Cho'Gath in the top lane against Olaf, which is a much better matchup for the top lane over there, and they're going to wind up having Malphite go in the jungle, which of course relieves a little bit of pressure on that mid lane. He's only going to have to worry about getting caught by bindings and Morgana once she hits level 6, so he's going to get a little bit of free farm because Malphite really can't gank until he has that level 6.
Yeah, he does tend to be a pretty quick farmer, and then one of the strengths of Malphite is coming in, usually against bruisers, you know, as a counter initiation kind of fight. Like you're very reactionary as Malphite usually. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Amumu can be a little bit more aggressive early on, but you're right. You know, both of those junglers are very 6 reliant, but it's going to be scarier to see what Diamondprox can do with Amumu, because if you hit your bandage toss and have the follow-up with the ultimate, there's basically no getting away from it. Like, that is going to be a kill. And then later on in the game, if he's able to get into the middle of the teams and he's tanky enough and he gets the nice ultimate setup for Alex, then, you know, again, that's going to be a really scary situation.
We got the dreaded pause coming out here, but we have seen Diamond Prox on Amumu doing some interesting things in the early stages of the game. You usually don't see Amumu getting very aggressive and going into the enemy jungle to counter jungle, but we've seen M5 lure enemy teams to the opposite side of the map, let Amumu go in there, kind of bully out the enemy jungler, take away big raids. We saw him stealing a red buff in a game previously in the tournament. So he's got a really different style and approach to what normal Amumus will do. We've seen him start at his own red buff and then go and invade on the enemy blue, all sorts of things like that. So,
and that's actually really key because in the Curse versus M5 matchup, Curse actually picked Maokai. And the point of having the Maokai, you have that really aggressive jungler that pressures the mid lane. Like, that is where Maokai is at his best, when you can pressure the mid lane. And so the thought is you pressure Master Yi, try and shut him down. But because Diamond Prox was so aggressive with counter jungling and, you know, whatnot on Amumu, who you don't normally think of in those regards, it actually shut down that aggression. And I'm kind of curious whether or not Meat Playground, you know, if they considered sending an aggressive jungler mid and having that combo of, you know, a snare into a Morgana bind or something like that, or if they just, you know, recognized that that wasn't going to be an option against Diamond Prox, so they just, you know, want to play their own game.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to have the jungle Cho'Gath for, but of course then that leads that top lane matchup. You never want Darien to snowball on an enemy team. It's also packing that summoner teleport, so that means M5 probably going to be very proactive again across the map. We do see here they are probably going to go for the lane swap as Ezreal and Sun are in the top lane, but Meat Playground, they're going buddy-buddy here. They want to do something at level 1.
Yeah, they definitely want to invade this blue because they see that Olaf is running teleport, and one of the most common things to do with Olaf when you're running teleport is just to start off at that blue. And the concern is going to be that Amumu is really blue dependent, but either they're going to get the blue off of Darien or they're going to get the blue off of Diamond Prox. Either way is a big victory for them, and they have a very strong level 1 team, so they're going to want to invade here, and definitely keeping the blue off of either of those members of M5 will be key.
So going to have to see here, Meat Playground is going to be motioning in here. Blue buff won't be spawning for about another 10 seconds or so, which means these wolves are going to be taken. Alex Each, ooh, he's going to walk into a brush, find NK Inc. Flash automatically burned right there. And that's already a victory for Meat Playground.
Yeah, the nice reaction time there, gets out immediately. Amumu, he is on his blue side. He's going to be able to go over to the red, but he's a little bit behind. And you actually see M5, they're making their way down to the blue, so they're going to try and get Amumu that blue rather than starting with that red. They want to make sure he can get it. NK Inc., he got a long, he actually got a great pull that he didn't need to use his smite for, but then it actually reset on him. So it was a smiteless pull, but it reset, forcing him to use the smite, which is very unfortunate in this situation. Now Cho'Gath is actually coming up to try and see what's going on here. They do have the ward up there, but Diamond Prox, it's a huge, you know, person advantage. There's no way they're going to defend that. They do grab it for him fairly easily. We
have to see if Diamond Prox is going to recognize the fact that, hey, maybe he's going to go for that invade on the enemy red buff, and if he does, well, as you said before, NK Inc.'s not going to have that smite available, so it's going to be a very hard buff to take indeed. But Darien, in the meantime, going to teleport down this bottom lane where Caitlyn and Nunu already have an advantage, pushing this lane into the tower. However, he does have the extra CS from the jungle camps they took.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, though. Normally, he would want to teleport back to base, and he would have enough time to teleport into lane. But because of how hard Caitlyn and Nunu can push, they actually threw it, the minions into the turret. So he actually couldn't teleport, and that you normally would have expected that. And he had to just, you know, he couldn't recall, I mean, and he had to force the teleport out right away. He is actually coming over potentially for the blue, or I guess for the wolves himself. The blue is down, but we'll see what's going on in the rest of these lanes. And I'm curious to see what happens in this mid lane, because one of the things we've seen from Master Yi so far is that he doesn't really lose any lane matchup. He has really free harass, and then he has the heal as well. But we'll see what Cobalt can do here. Already taking a lot of damage.
Man, that's just Master Yi's Alpha Strike doing what it's supposed to do. But Diamond Prox, in the meantime, double blast Ahoy, going to come up here in this 1v2 lane. Hazard in a really bad spot. Still going to take some tower shots. Ghost Pepper's going to be A-OK, and Genja going to wind up picking up first blood on Ezreal.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most common ganks in the game now that we're seeing, which is when you have a 1v2 situation, to set the jungler up as you're hitting the turret. Everyone's hitting level 3 at the same time, and usually you'll see the jungler try and counter that out. So I'm a little bit surprised that Malphite, you know, didn't make his way over there, but not only does that give them the kill, it gives them the option of taking down this turret. So we'll see whether or not they take that. But so far, Alex Itch, he's actually chasing down Pobelter. He gets the Ignite, just not enough to take him down. He almost could have gotten another Alpha Strike to take him down, but Alpha Strike early on was way too long of a cooldown, so you see it's still not up. So just barely not able to grab that, but already a lot of damage.
Bottom lane looks like Hazard might be making a move on Darien. Ghost has been popped though, but this tower is not going to last very long. Meanwhile, in top lane though, Ezreal and Sona, Genja, Ghost, Pepper going to be taking down that top turret first. So Meat Playground, this is actually going to be in response after they were the ones that shoved the lane forward into the tower first.
Oh, and Pobelter actually came back into lane without going back, so he just used some health potions, but now he's at a serious disadvantage because Alex Itch can just meditate, heal back up. Yeah, I think he knows that he's safe enough. Like, he won't instantly die to an Alpha Strike. It'll take like 2 Alpha Strikes to take him down, but it's still a dangerous spot and a huge early gold lead, primarily because of that turret top. But we'll see, you know, at Meat Playground, they're going to try and even this up, but a lot of times that top turret, it's a little bit more common, a little bit more valuable early on in the game, because now the bottom turret, you know, it could actually result in a stalled lane down bot if it pushes up to the second turret and they can't follow.
The interesting thing here is going to be, does Meat Playground swap the lanes back up to get the 2v2 in top lane, or do they stay in bottom lane to try to force an early dragon attempt? M5 looks to make an issue of this top lane still, as there's still only X-Hazard up there. Diamondprox once again loses the blue buff, doesn't matter that he has the red buff. There goes the Tantrum, the auto attacks. X-Hazard going to be tough to get out of this one. Diamondprox flashes ahead of him, but Alex Each from mid lane going to seal the deal with another Alpha Strike.
Yeah, really nice play from both of them, and Alex Each and Diamondprox, they really, I look at them as a combo because, you know, they just do so much together out of that mid lane in the jungle, whereas Darien tends to be on more of an island. So, you know, getting that early pressure, and, you know, it's kind of a lack of ward stop as well. So they've already lost a couple of ganks up there. It's a 2-0 advantage, an early lead, but Light Sludge, he's still pushing down this bottom lane. And, you know, we've seen so far in this tournament how strong Light Sludge's Caitlyn is, and it seems to be actually his favorite champion.
Looks like they're actually forcing M5 to be the ones on the swap backwards, so that means that they're going to give X-Hazard a little bit of breathing room up there before Darien can actually get back over. Teleport is still not available, so that gives Cho'Gath a little bit of free fire and a chance to catch himself back up into this one. He was down by about 17 CS compared to Olaf. On the flip side, though, Caitlyn 50 CS compared to Ezreal's 32, so they took down the tower. They took all the early CS from the lane because M5 was busy going on the jungle invade. Caitlyn was able to sit back, get about 10 CS ahead of both Ezreal and Olaf at the beginning stage of the game, and now it's transitioning over. Meat Playground is doing a good job of making M5 be the one to adapt to what they're doing, but M5 now recognizing this. Caitlyn didn't go back and buy items whatsoever at all. Ezreal's been back twice already, so M5 is going to be easily taking down this dragon.
Yeah, they have the pink, they have 5 members down bot, so they're going to be able to grab that. A lot of times Amumu can get pretty low, but with this many members to take it down, it'll drop pretty quickly, so not really a concern. They grab the dragon. They build up on their gold lead, so 2,400 right now. Now Caitlyn and Nunu, they're actually in a really dangerous spot because it's a 5-man tower dive down bottom. Lemon, he keeps an eye on them. There's the Ezreal coming in. Light Sludge, I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of there.
I don't know, Light Sludge should be the target. Flashes over the bandage Shasta, so he might be okay. Alex ECZ is going to go deep underneath the tower, though. Activates that Highlander. He's going to be able to get out of there, and surprisingly, Meat Playground lives.
Yeah, that was 5v2, and they were able to get out. And now Morgana and Malphite both coming down, trying to see if they need to force a situation or if they just need to come in behind, as some of them are maybe low. But it leaves Cho'Gath up top, so X-Hazard, he can kind of catch up some. And it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in this lane now, Caitlyn, Nunu versus Ezreal and Sona, because I would normally say that advantage is going to be towards the Caitlyn and Nunu. I mean, Caitlyn is just such a strong champion. She easily outranges Ezreal. But Ezreal, he's bought some early HP, so getting the Ruby Crystal on his way to a Phage, he's very tanky at this point in the game, which means that if they force a fight on Caitlyn and can just burst her down, she's not going to have anywhere near enough damage to take down Ezreal in the same amount of time.
Exactly. You have GoSuPepper playing one of his favorite champions in the world, Sona, where he's been quoted saying he could 1v9 an entire team. So if Sona's going to get aggressive, as soon as that level 6 pops, Light Sludge went back, bought a BF sword. No Dorans, no HP, nothing. The only survivability he has is that move speed bonus in his net. So if GoSuPepper hits level 6, he has flash available. He's got Ignite on his support as well. And actually, Genja's the one taking exhaust here on Ezreal, so they're going to be able to land that exhaust, chase after it, that flash crescendo, arcane shift forward into exhaust, and Caitlyn's not going to be able to get away.
X-Hazard, he was as close as you can get to being spotted out by Alex H, and he probably would have gone down in that situation. His flash was still down, so he is safe in that spot, but that was kind of scary. And honestly, I'd be curious to hear what team he was referring to that he thinks he could 1v9, because so far, you know, that hasn't happened this tournament. He's definitely a really strong support, but I'm curious what that was in reference to.
I think it's just him saying that he really likes to play Sona.
Yeah, right.
There was a point in time where they were banning out Sona against GoSuPepper because of how powerful he was on the champion, but Meat Playground feels like they can deal with this. We're going to have to see if it does wind up being that big driving force that he says it can be.
And you see in the top lane, that early advantage, it wasn't just in CS, but it was also pretty significantly in levels. So Darien, he was actually able to take some jungle farm as well, but 74 to 39, and he has a 2-level advantage in that lane. So he should be in control of that lane. X-Hazard doesn't need as much farm as Olaf does, particularly since he's going for a snowball build, but we'll see how that progresses. They are trying to be aggressive down this bottom lane as well, and Cobalt are kind of chasing off Alex Each there, but usually you see more of a support build on Olaf. You go quickly into tanking items, We've seen Darien a lot in the past. He likes rushing Warmogs, for instance. But usually when you go to the Brutalizer, it's because you want to get early kills and you want to snowball.
I actually don't think I've seen Darien play this style of Olaf all too often. Last time I've usually seen him that 1v2 lane, and he goes for the Warmog's armor, even going for a Force of Nature and just building straight pure tank. He's adapted that build onto his Rengar as well, which we saw earlier in the tournament. But interestingly enough, he's going for the damage here, which makes me kind of think that maybe we're going to have a full tanky kind of a Mumu build. He's got the Mercury treads already.
Well, and that's something that we hadn't seen from Mumu. Yes, Mercury treads. We hadn't seen from Diamond Prox earlier this tournament. He was running the Sork shoes to try and get that quick burst, but against the Spell Shield and against the kind of kiting and poking that Meat Playground has, that can be kind of difficult if you go for that full tanky. You need to know if you're going with a Spell Pen build on Mumu that you're going to get a hard engage. Otherwise, they're just going to slowly wear you down. So, it's kind of interesting. It kind of, the Olaf build, it kind of gives M5, more of a poke team, because Olaf, he actually does have decent poke when you run Brutalizer. You get the cooldown reduction, you get the Arbor Pen as well. But the biggest thing for it is it allows them to split that lane, so they don't have to win full 5v5s. They can get Alex each into small little 3v3s, and then Olaf can just lane against X-Hazard all day.
One of the best parts about Master Yi, he can't be slowed whatsoever, so that Nunu is not going to have any effect with those icy blasts, except for potentially dealing a little bit of damage. But like you said, going back to Olaf, he's going to scale great off that extra attack damage.
Light Sludge, the Ezreal ult's coming in. It doesn't actually get him, but there's the Master Yi as well. That was very close. They were going to try and just burst him down immediately. Darien actually chasing off X-Hazard, but that Spell Shield right at the right time. Pobelter, he actually saw the Ezreal ult through the ward in the river, and he knew they were going to try and insta-kill Light Sludge, so really smart play on his part.
Meat Player going to have to be very careful about this mid lane situation. Alex each could potentially just burst down Pobelter and 1 or 2 more Alpha Strikes. A little bit of poke from Gosu Pepper. That's going to be a dead Morgana. So M5 though going to back off. Seeing that Meat Playground has grouped up over here. Set for Light Sludge. He's been on that bottom lane 1v1ing against Ezreal as that tower's being poked down. It looks like M5
He's going to drop quickly.
Did you see that? Nunu actually catches the fact that Alex each is coming down here as his Diamond Prox. Light Sludge trying to run away. Curse this side Mummy. He cleanses it off and then the flash away though. Alex each still on Yi. Gonna chase him down. Ignite ticking away. That's 1 for Alex each, and can Meat Playground get the turnaround, or is M5 going to walk away?
Yeah, and that really hurts because Light Sludge, he had an early CS advantage, but he's 2 levels behind Genja right now. Gosu Pepper getting caught out of position. He throws off his ultimate to try and get away from that bind, but it's too much for him. But M5 forcing the mid and then forcing him out. There's actually the flash from Alex each, avoiding that NK Inc ult, and Pobelter still trying to chase them down, but they will be able to retreat now. But picking up that kill onto Light Sludge to keep up that 2-level advantage on Genja, or at least a 1-level advantage now, is definitely really key.
And unfortunately for Gosu Pepper, he says he could 1v9, but that was a 1v3, and he didn't come out too well on that one.
Yeah, he needs to keep his range a little bit. I think it's the item build. You need to get Madreds or something like that on Sona in order to 1v9. But
I was kind of thinking maybe with the Frozen Mallet AD Sona. Which, interestingly enough, we're going to have to see if that Ruby Crystal on Olaf turns into a phage for a Frozen Mallet, or if he's going to be building into that tanky Warmog's armor, and he just wants that Brutalizer for a little bit of early mid-game damage. This could also be indicative of what M5 likes to do, which is around the 20-minute mark or so, they decide, hey, we're going to get in a fight, and they just win somehow.
Yeah, and any other Olaf, I would probably say that's going to be moving towards the Shurelya's, and that Ruby Crystal would be upgraded into a Kindle Gem. But you're right, Darien, he really likes going for that early Warmogs, because it's not that much of a gold investment, but all you need is Warmogs, and instantly you're the tankiest guy in the game, and that just allows him to really set up the rest of his team. So we'll see what he goes with there. The Dragon's actually going down pretty quickly. X-Hazard being zoned off by Genja. He tries to go in for the seal, but Diamond Prox is able to hold on to it. And so that almost could have been a feast steal, except that Genja made a smart play there, was able to zone him off.
Yeah, Alex each in the meantime has picked up the needlessly large rod, Sorcerer's Shoes, in addition to that Negatron with 109 CS and 2 kills. He is very, very farmed. Doesn't have to worry about getting slowed down or crowd controlled or anything with that Highlander going off. So he's going to be able to run away, poke at that turret, and then just get away from Meat Playground. Just really, really easy.
Yeah, but if they can make him force that using that ultimate, then it means he's not going to be able to get the resets in the fights. Because unlike Katarina, his reset is tied to him having his ultimate up. So that's definitely a cooldown he doesn't want to lose right before a really key fight. But Meat Playground, getting the turret, forcing them back. Olaf, Darien actually trying to come down into the mid lane, see if they're forcing a fight there. But they will be able to retreat effectively and try and narrow that gold lead.
Well, just like you said, they blow the ultimate from Alex each, and they're able to respond by taking the tower down, because as you said, he's not going to be able to get those resets on anybody. He's not going to be able to chain together those alpha strikes. Xhazzard and Darian, in the meantime, trading blows in the top lane. Darian's still getting a little bit of the best of Xhazzard. However, he has caught up in CS relatively nice, 92 compared to 125, rather than being down by like almost 40 to 50 CS. He's only down by about 30 or so now.
Yeah, but Genja's in control of that bottom lane, so he has the level advantage against Caitlyn. He's able to, kite outside of Caitlyn's range and just farm effectively. Mostly, it seems Light Sledge isn't even laning against him because he doesn't want to have to deal with that sort of harass. But the tower does go down. 2 turrets are down for Meat Playground right now. M5's just kind of slowly wearing them down. It's those objectives are giving them that 4 gold lead for the 4K gold lead for the most part. But we'll see what Meat Playground can do. It's an even game so far. Usually the games that Meat Playground holds even, they can be kind of interesting. It's when they fall behind early, when they start feeding or get caught out of position that they really are in trouble.
Darian's going to be in a tight spot. That's upon the Ragnarok, but there's the Soul Shackles coming out from Morgana. Will not get the stun though, but will get the extra damage. Ice Blast from Nunu and the Dark Binding going to be enough, and Darian being caught in the enemy jungle, unfortunately going to fall to Meat Playground. Yeah,
and usually Olaf can escape, but being in the jungle like that, it's kind of twisty and turvy. He's not able to get out of there like you would in the lane. So Darian, for a while now, he's been sitting up in the top lane, but he keeps on running through the jungle to try and group with his team mid. And Meat Playground just kind of recognizes it. So it was a great opportunity for him. They caught him while he was making that transition, and it was kind of like he had been training them to catch him, and they just took advantage of it.
Yeah, even the fact that Moscow 5 has a ward over by Meat Playground's blue buff to see when the team is going to be moving over there. Darian kind of has every kind of tool he needs to see when they were going to be collapsing in on him. He ran down and around through the wolves. He wanted to take those away before he came up, so maybe just a little bit of greed for Olaf there caused him to wind up falling in that engagement. We do see he has gone back though, picked up the pieces for Warmog's armor, so that Brutalizer might be one of the only damaging items he winds up building this entire game.
Yeah, and Olaf really doesn't need a lot of damage, but I think he's primarily getting it for the cooldown reduction. The armor pen as well, it gives Olaf some of that poke, but the cooldown reduction is huge. It really ramps up his damage very quickly. And M5, they are trying to pressure this mid, but NK8 trying to stall, not going to be able to do it. So M5 grabs another turret, and the mid turret in particular opens up the rest of the map for M5 to force the fights.
Look at the damage that Alex Each just dishing out on the poor Lemon God there. He's just chunking away, and Nunu's HP down to half already. Flash forward though from NK8, gonna get the unstoppable force. Morgana ultimate, Morgana binding not gonna land.
They're gonna really turn this around.
The crescendo there. M5 completely turning it around on Meat Playground right now.
Yeah, the Stone ultimate started it off, and when they weren't able to grab Alex Ich with that ultimate, they pulled themselves into a bad situation. They weren't able to follow up on it. All their CCs are down, and they're a really ult-heavy team, so losing both of those ultimates early on was really key, and just having the Amumu follow up, they were all clumped together. It allowed Alex Ich and Diamond to just absolutely wreck them, and that's a really scary prospect. Xhazzard as well, he's in a dangerous situation here. I think he's going to be able to get back in time. Diamond not actually going to go for it, so he does retreat to his turret, but that's 2 second turrets down for that one fight.
Yeah, Meat Playground said they lost their ultimates and they're losing towers because of it. So Alex keeps taking that up, doesn't really matter. They can always meditate away. He has the blue buff. It's going to be on a relatively short cooldown. Not going to be able to run out of mana anytime soon. Getting all that farm as well because he is just chunking away at minions as well as champions at this point in time. M5 going to continue their dominance of the map, completely invading Meat Playground's jungle, taking control of their entire side. Although there are pings going down from Meat Playground saying, hey, we have one lane pushed a lot farther. We're going to try to get that one. Genja having to shift and flash away from this, but there's the side switch charge shifting over the wall. I think he's going to be able to get away from this one.
Pretty close to getting it. He doesn't have the flash up though, so he's not going to be in range. The one more rupture will probably come, but just not going to be enough to get him. Ezreal just barely out of the range by that time, so they do back out of there. But that last team fight from Meat Playground, it seemed a little pressed on their part. Like they were a little bit concerned about the fact that M5 was just slowly split pushing him and taking advantages, so they wanted to force a fight with Malphite. They weren't able to get the good initiation that they needed, and it really pulled them into a dangerous spot, not able to grab Alex there either, so they do back off. But Xhazzard, he's incredibly tanky at this point. He's had his feast stacks for a while now, and so if he can set up the fights effectively for his team, we'll see what Light Sledge can do in this situation.
And Alex East
wow, oh my
God.
God.
Light Sledge at half HP. Pobelter barely above a half HP there. That Master Yi is dealing a lot of damage. Death Cap acquired already, and this is sub 20 minutes into the game, so he's just going to be hitting like a truck at this point in time. Meat Playground wisely turning around and running back to the safety of their base. They actually don't have that second middle tower either. Pobelter going to have to run away from Darian. Did catch him with a nice Dark Binding and Pool combination to slow him down, but they're going to cede that blue buff as they've actually done talked about just a couple seconds ago. M5 in complete dominance of Meat Playground's jungle, all forward on the opposite side of the river now. Meat Playground just has to turtle, has to wait for the M5 engage. As you said before, they were pressed for that team fight. They wanted to try to make something happen. Now they have to wait for M5 to just overcommit, like GoSuPepper right here.
Yeah, Pobelter, he actually gets the quick kill after the bind. Pobelter, he has to back off, though. They're all very low. Alexich, he could maybe get a combo, so he wants to chase them down. Lemon's down. He actually could get this very quickly. Malphite jumps in as well. Light Sludge is still safe, and Alex actually backs off without using that first Alpha Strike, but there he jumps in. Light Sludge almost going down as well. The Feast, but now he has the Meditate. The Rupture will prevent it, and we'll see if M5 can maybe win this.
Oh, actually, Alex is going to get taken down by a nice ultimate there. Ace in the hole from Light Sludge. However, he will wind up knocking down Cho'Gath. So one of the two members of the tanky front line from Meat Playground has been down. They are going to get 1 kill for 2 in this. So M5 coming out slightly ahead. Oracle Slicer still surviving that fight as well. Actually, it was a 2 for 2 because Sona died so early she's revived already. But M5 still in a little bit of a better position because of the established map presence. They have the Oracle Slicer to clear out any vision Meat Playground had on the map as well. And they're still going to transition this into the Global Objective Dragon.
Yeah, but still, you saw, you know, what Meat Playground kind of wants to do with their team. They want to be able to pick off individual members and just kite and never give Yi a chance to Alpha Strike in. And so they were able to, you know, just force him into a situation where Yi was doing nothing the entire fight for the most part. He threw in 1 Alpha Strike, but for a long period of time, he was just sitting on the outside waiting for that opportunity to go in, and Meat Playground wasn't giving it to him. Then they were able to dive on him and pick up that kill. So that's really key for their team. But honestly, with how much damage Yi is dealing with this Alpha Strike, I'm surprised that they didn't go for an Aegis on this team. And you know, kind of anticipate that, because it's really wrecking their team right now. 2 Alpha Strikes will basically win a team fight if he can get that second Alpha Strike off.
Taking a look at the builds running down, we actually see Yogo's Ghostblade being acquired by Darien on Olaf, so he's just going to get the extra burst of move speed. Ragnarok, of course, popping up. He's going to be able to run into that back line and get to Light Sludge's Caitlyn. Tazzer now finding GoSuPepper. GoSuPepper likes getting caught out a lot, I seem to see here, as he is just going to be taking a couple shots from Xhazzard, dodging the Rupture that he should be able to get out of this one A-OK, but he is running straight towards an Alex each, so wisely Xhazzard backs off.
Yeah, he's fine. He has enough mobility, and he's able to, you know, get that reaction time down where he can dodge those Ruptures, so really impressive play. But one concern is that M5, they recognize that Meat Playground, they're all making their way down bot, and so it allows them to clear out some of the wards in this top jungle. Ezreal can push down the top lane as well, and that might actually set them up for a nice engage coming forward. So they have the vision up there, and they might be able to force a fight that would be to Meat Playground's detriment.
Yeah, we'll have to see about this one. Unstoppable Force from Malphite. NK Inc. waited to use it last fight. They took out GoSuPepper. They didn't have the crescendo. M5 went to go in for an engage. Meat Playground wisely backed off after Pobelter got absolutely vaporized by M5. Ooh, Lemongad's in a bad spot here. Darien is going to get Dark Binding, though, so they're not going to be able to chase onto him there.
And now here's the scary thing for Meat Playground. Caitlyn, later on in the game, she really struggles against really heavy tanks. She doesn't have that attack speed steroid. So a lot of times her damage will be ineffectual once Darien can grab that armor. And then because he has so much HP already with that Warmogs, the burst damage that Morgana or anyone else has is going to be just completely insignificant. And this is what we saw yesterday, where the reason for the Master Yi pentakill, it was Darien. He was so tanky that the entire team was trying to 5v1 him and couldn't take him down fast enough. And so if Darien can get in the team, it'll set them up. But Meat Playground, they're coming up. They were forcing the Baron, and Darien, he's actually going to back them off. So they're not in the best situation right here. They're all split, but Master Yi, he's actually going to try and come in from the backside.
We watched Diamondprox barely miss that bandage shots going across on the Light Sludge. They got that Ludin Curse to the side Mummy, and like you said, lights out for Meat Playground. If they get caught out of position here by M5, they're going to be a really bad spot.
They're in. M5's going to force this fight. They came in behind them. They're forcing Meat Playground in a situation where they can't escape. They can't kite from the Amumu Yi combo.
They're going to go in forward. GoSuPepper. There's a curse to the side Mummy. Crescendo's going to come out after the Unstoppable Force. There it is. Goes across all the remaining members of Meat Playground. Getting vaporized by Alex East. Triple kill, quadra kill. Are we going to get a pentakill?
Yes, it is the pentakill, I believe.
No, Ezreal
got the last one.
Oh,
but there
Genja.
it is. It's the setup, and they have a tanky team that Meat Playground doesn't have enough damage to take them down immediately, and if they get caught by an Amumu ult, it is over, because then Master Yi, if he gets 2 Alpha Strikes in, he's going to be able to get the 3rd, he's going to get the 4th, and just continue to pick up those kills. They are going to get the Baron off of this as well, and just really impressive play by Moscow 5. You know, you saw it yesterday. Master Yi is just absolutely insane when you have the team that sets him up. And M5, starting off that fight, rather than sitting around at the Baron, which is kind of what you normally expect, Genjo was baiting on the one side, and because they already had the better ward coverage, Meat Playground assumed that Moscow 5 was just hanging out in these bushes over here because that's where Genjo was. And in the meantime, they swept in behind them and were able to take them out of position.
And just taking another look at that fight, it's almost impossible for a Master Yi not to get his reset when everybody is huddled together in a corner. They literally herded Meat Playground into basically a pen of death. That's what it was. They were all caught in this little teeny tiny corner in the jungle. Master Yi's Alpha Strike hits everybody, and as soon as it hits everybody in that Curse of the Sad Mummy crescendo, the squishy targets like the support and the AD carry are going to fall. That sets up more resets for Alex Each, and they just rip apart those tanks. As you mentioned before, because of the fact that M5's building tanky, Caitlyn might not be able to chunk through them unless she has that new Blood Boil. Caitlyn's dead. Well, the tanks are going to start wailing away. Alex Each's pure damage is going to shine through, and Cho'Gath and Malphite, they really don't have a lot of magic resist. They have armor. They're building Frozen Heart, so they're going for what could be a Sunfire Cape. There's a Wit's End on Cho'Gath, but other than that, there's no magic resistance across the board from Meat Playground.
Yeah, there is a big lack. They have the HP that they're hoping they can just get down Alex H. If they can focus down Alex H, then the armor will protect them against Olaf and Ezreal. So if Alex H drops in a fight, then Meat Playground, they're in a great situation, and that's what their game plan is. That's why they're not getting that magic resist. But so far it hasn't worked for them, and so far this tournament, the games that M5's been able to win, they've been pretty even games, and then it's just one team fight from M5, and that's it. It's GG. It happened against Curse the first time they played. It was an even game, and then one team fight, M5 got Baron, and it was over. And now a 12k gold lead, and Baron after that one fight. And you have to imagine that Meat Playground doesn't really have the best chance of coming back to this.
Rupture goes down. Genjo's going to Arcane Shift away from that one. A Baron buff M5 sieging a Meat Playground towers isn't really the best thing in the world for Meat Playground. They still do have the potential to land a bunch of ultimates in here and potentially take out M5. Of course, they have the Morgana ultimate, those Soul Shackles going off. If there's a Rupture from Cho'Gath to start things off, and then an Unstoppable Force from Malphite after the M5 ultimates have been used. If the Curse of the Sad Mummy, then Unstoppable Force goes, Sona's going to crescendo and shut down Meat Playground's little AoE there. They can force a crescendo out of Ghosty Pepper because he's been a little antsy all game. They can get that crescendo out. That's going to be one key crowd control effect that M5 doesn't have that Meat Playground might be able to turn things around because of.
Yeah, but this is scary right now because M5, they're slowly wearing down Meat Playground, and not only that, Caitlyn is not a champion that really excels coming from behind. She needs to have enough damage to take down these tanks, and it's going to be tough to see if they do. Not only that, X-Hazard, he lost 3 of those stacks in that previous fight, so he's not nearly as tanky as he could be, but they still, you're right, have quick first pick-off potentially. They can grab it, but Diamond, he forces the perfect ultimate, the Ezreal, the Sona as well, and now Master Yi's coming in trying to clean things up.
Now, Alex Each is the only target of that Unstoppable Force. Absolute Zero will go up, but Alex Each was channeling the Meditate the entire time. There's the Alpha Strikes. Double kill has been acquired. Darien got himself a kill on that fight, as did Diamond Proc. It's a complete ace, and M5 going to take the inhibitor and probably just take the game here.
Yeah, that is going to be a Nexus kill. M5 take down game number 1, and that Master Yi, if you can't shut him down in fights, M5, they're just using him so effectively, so that could be the really scary tactic for this tournament that teams start to have to consider banning out, but they still have Katarina, they have Ezreal, they have a zillion, a number of other strategies that they could run, and there is the game number 1. M5 takes down Meat Playground 17-5. 17k gold lead at the end of that game.
11-1-4 on Alex Each's Master Yi. I can't really say that it was basically one-sided the entire time. We had M5 12.7k on Alex Each in gold, 10.6k on Genja. Genja actually, if you took a look at what he was building throughout the course of the game, he went double Dorans, Ruby Crystal, then wound up buying that Phage and a Sheen, stopped, got a BF sword, then decided to go back and finish the Trinity Force, and never actually finished his Bloodthirster. Yep. He just went straight for all these different items.
Well, and that's something that's very common on Caitlyn, but the issue was he didn't have the same early survivability that Ezreal had. So they were able to kind of bully him around to that bottom lane. But, really, they were looking for opportunities around the map. They were trying to get quick kills with the Malphite and Morgana, and they just weren't able to get them. M5 was too reflexive. They were too, safe as a team.
And they had the crowd control to back it up. When Malphite was going to be ganking, there was a crescendo and a Curse of the Sad Mummy. So these team fights that Meat Playground really wanted to try to force just really never culminated. We saw a couple times there, Pobelter was able to catch somebody out with a Soul Shackles and a Dark Binding to start an engagement. Unstoppable Force did kind of break things up, but once M5 knew how to layer their skills, and once NK Inc. was so focused on trying to stop Master Yeek once he was that far ahead, they just kind of fell apart, and M5 just seeped in through the cracks and busted them apart.
And one of the scary things is that Meat Playground had a team that was very cooldown dependent, and they knew that they needed to use all of their abilities on Alex Each, otherwise he was going to be able to win every single team fight. So that meant that they couldn't necessarily use the Morgana ultimates or the Malphite ultimates on some of the other threats of the team, and that allowed Diamond in particular to get in the middle of their team and do very well. But we'll see what's going to happen in game number 2, guys. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to see if Meat Playground can come back. This is the losers bracket of IPL 5.